posting this video because after today, the events with the power chair, I canceled all my local Lieutenant Alida Elut's appointments. I'm not going to go inside there anymore. Too much targeting. And I'm not saying that the referrals are being super helpful. You know, it's pretty obvious when there's a pattern of either you get a bad doctor or you seem to attract predators, or you just seem to attract people that just don't care. They just want to make sure they get paid their fee. That's my situation. But you know, it's bad for my health, but then again, inside the VA, they're not doing anything to help me. You know, it's always tongue in cheek, and they try their best to look really good. But then when you really sit down and you boil things down, very little is done. A lot of effort is done to make it look like they're doing something. And a lot of money is spent, and that's another thing on my conscience. You know, there's a lot of veterans who really need help, and they're spending money on me they're just doing test after test most of the time without diagnosing anything and without ever treating anything. I mean, almost nothing. You know, there may be one or two things have actually been addressed, but never aggressively. Never aggressively. I don't like my care there. I think it's horrible. You know, and the amount of time that they waste, I go there, 3-4 times a week. Nobody helps me out. I don't have any, every time I put in for reimbursement, it gets denied. And sometimes they'll put a little insult along with the denial. A subtle insult. Like, patient not, what was the last time? Patient not qualified, nor deserving for reimbursement or something like that. It was reimbursement of a bus fee. They just tried to make it as verbose and humiliating as possible. That's another thing I'm sick of. I'm a humble person. I don't need anybody to humble me. The Lord does it every day. Every mistake I make, every time that I fail to miss the mark, sin, every time that in prayer I realize that I failed something that He led me or urged me to do. The Lord is the great humbler. I don't need man to do it. And I recognize when man tries to humble me, and I reject it, because God does it automatically. And I'll tell this to anyone. We don't need to go around humbling people, even as a spiritual father. If somebody is humbling their spiritual son or their spiritual daughter, all they're doing is perpetuating abuse as acceptable within the church. And it's not, ever. And matter of fact, I'm somebody partial towards Ignatian spirituality and Dominican spirituality, which led me to the Eastern rites. Nobody's abused there. Matter of fact, people are pushed into silence and prayer. But because of the things that have happened at the VA, I'm pulling out my care there. I'm just going to finish my consults. I'm not getting good care. And after what happened today, I don't care. I'll tell my story. And the time is going to come when I'm going to start naming names. It's going to come very soon. And first, before I even went in there, one of her coworkers calls the VA police. The VA police, they say the lady's name, and they're like, yeah, go back there and talk to her. They went back to talk to her for 25 minutes. And then she came out and asked me, she said, oh, can I help this gentleman? Because the gentleman came in and he waited for 25 minutes. He checked in and he was ignored. And they're like, oh, yeah, can you hold on? There's been confusion, and I was supposed to get to him, but I didn't. She lied right to my face. I saw the uniform go in there. And so I went in there and talked with her. She wanted to argue with me about their policy about, you can only have a neurological issue, otherwise we don't give chairs to people. I know two people that's not true. She's lying right to my face. And she says, oh no, it takes 4 to 6 weeks. Well, the people I've talked to, they said they got theirs within a couple of weeks max. She's like, oh yeah, these are specially designed and they're brought right from the factory, and then they're unwrapped at this warehouse, and then all the computerized stuff is set up and it's tested out and all of this stuff. And I'm not stupid. UL is not going to certify something at the showroom. It's going to be certified at the factory. I mean, she just lied to me the whole meeting. Nothing is going to be certified for safety at a showroom. It's going to be certified at the factory. It's required by law. She just kept lying and lying and lying. Oh, well, my husband, he has one joint that's rheumatoid arthritis, so it's not always bilateral. Read the literature. Read the literature. Over 75% of rheumatoid arthritis cases, if not immediately, soon after, become bilateral. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And she's saying, oh, what would you think about getting an artificial knee? I'm like, are you nuts? No. I'm like, the best thing to do is to get me off of these joints for, several months or even a year or maybe more. Get me off of these joints so much so that I can do intensive physical therapy, so I can start going to the pool and, trying to decrease my weight. But some of these issues are never going to go away. And then I, pointed out some stuff about my spine to her. She's like, well, that's not neurological. Really? Really? It seems to me that the main neurological center of the human body is the spine. Horrible people. Horrible. And then I finally said, you know what, ma'am? I said, the Holy Spirit told me earlier today that you were going to deny me. Oh, really? Yeah. Check my YouTube channel. There was a video posted 3 hours ago. Well, actually, it may not have been. I may have walked away from the network, but it was made. The metadata will show it was made 3 or 4 hours before my meeting, if somebody opens the metadata. Because the Holy Spirit led me. I just hope that my feeling was wrong. But, and I said, that's the most ridiculous thing that you're telling me here. And she's like, you're a young guy anyway. We try to not, do this kind of thing and put a young guy in a power chair. And I'm like, what does age have to do with it? That's the same kind of ignorance where people say, oh, yeah, he or she died of old age. Old age is not a pathology, people. You don't die of old age. You die of a pathology, an illness, or a systemic dysfunction, correction. Or something just fails. You don't die from being old. There's no such thing. There's a pathology, always. And anyway, and she's like, oh yeah, you could just get pumped up with steroids, and if you need to, you can get an artificial knee. I'm like, this lady is out of her mind. And she wants to keep arguing. So I'm like, you know what? You've made up your mind. She's like, oh no, I'm just explaining. I'm like, you've made up your mind. I'm not going to waste any more of your time, like I said. And so I walked out, and guess who was waiting right when we walked out of the door? 2 officers, including the original officer that went to her office and disappeared. And I walked in, he's like, yeah. He's like, I looked at him, I said to my daughter, I'm like, yep, figures, surprise, surprise. Because they always do this to me. Anything to humiliate me, anything. And so I'm like, here we go. He's like, yeah, they said you were a little frazzled. I'm like, do I look frazzled? He's like, I'm not saying I think you're frazzled. He said, I don't see evidence of that, but they are saying it. I'm like, do I sound frazzled? Actually, I'm tired of the nonsense. I'm tired of the retaliation. I'm leaving, and I'm not going to come back. And he's like, well, he's like, you have no problem with us. He said, they're the ones who are saying you're frazzled. And I'm like, first of all, how can they say that I'm frazzled when this person's office is about 30 feet down a hallway behind a wall by where the receptionists sit? How can they say I'm frazzled? Oh, was there an echo? Really? If there was an echo, then I should have heard myself, because I recorded them. And even though my GoPro failed, I didn't realize I didn't have an SD card in it. Duh, my mistake. Always be ready. This is a big fail army here. I wasn't prepared, but I thought there was an SD card in it. But at least my body cam recorded the audio. It didn't record the video. I didn't have anywhere to put the cam on. So it just recorded the audio. But anyway, I think the VA did anyway, because I noticed how sometimes she's carefully choosing her words. So I think they turned the cameras on. But anyway, she even announced the presence of my daughter. Like, who cares? I think they were recording too, which doesn't bother me. But there's nothing wrong with debating somebody and disagreeing. But as far as frazzled, it's garbage. They always say this. When you disagree with them and you're emphatic about it, they say you're frazzled or aggressive or threatening. That's why I'm not going there. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Saginaw VA is the worst VA in the system. I've been in 3. It's the worst. The worst. You got a lot of people there that are aggressive, a lot of people that their evidence-based methods are not evidence-based at all. They base things on opinion. Like at least 2 of the actually don't go to urgent care, because all of the doctors there, they base their diagnoses off opinion. I've been diagnosed, and then when lab tests contradict the urgent care doctor, they don't say anything. They just put the lab results in the medical record, and that's it. They don't even call the patient to say, oh, yeah, I was wrong. Actually, it's this. They're horrible people. And you got another doctor that it's like he gets off and he gets excited about insulting and abusing people and retaliating. It's like he enjoys it. He is a horrible human being. Really horrible human being. And both of these urgent care doctors, I looked into their background, and there's a lot of red flags. You know what the Saginaw VA did about it? Nothing. Nothing. A lot of red flags about their history, about their residency, a lot of stuff. But they don't do anything. And if you read some of these physicians, their Google review, their physician, their patients, their civilian patients, they hate them. Horrible physicians, horrible. And some of them, the way they walk around, they look like they just got out of the psych ward. One of them, his hair's all messed up. His pants and his shirt are all half tucked in, half not tucked in. Everything is all wrinkled. I mean, the guy looks like a psych patient. He really does. You know, I'm not going to name names with this, but I'm just going to say these are horrible people. They should not be practicing medicine. And they will make retaliatory diagnoses. Really. I'm not going to go into it, but they will retaliate by giving you a diagnosis to humiliate you. They've done it to me before. Actually, both of them did. But so that's why I'm pulling out of this VA. And I encourage other people, you go to your congressman. You know, they target me because they know I'm poor. They know I have almost no income. And so they take advantage of it. Oh, and another thing about this VA, they find it acceptable. Multiple staff know that a lady lives underneath me that works at the VA, and she takes back all the gossip, all the news, all the complaint, anything, you know, to try to cause trouble for me. She takes it back there. That's another reason how this lady knew when I was there today. That's why she called the police back there, because this lady under me probably said, oh yeah, he's got a whole court case prepared to give to you. And he's already said that he may sue the VA. I guarantee she said something like that, because that's why this lady set me up. And it's a setup. I even said it to the officer. I'm like, look, dude, I know a setup when I see it. He didn't say anything. So unfortunately, they put the officers in the middle, and it's not supposed to be that way. This is a lawless VA. If they don't have respect for the uniform and for the badge and for the oath, don't go there.